Hello again, everybody. Zagatech is here with my WWE Raw review for tonight, Monday, July the 8th, 2015. Of course, the last Raw before Money in the Bank this Sunday. Let me say one thing. I think a lot of people may agree with me on this one. I think Raw tonight, big improvement over last week for a lot of reasons. One, there's a lot going on tonight with the job evaluation of Vickie. Of course, the Wyatt family debut, which I think was nailed perfectly in my opinion. And also, the biggest thing about Raw and the biggest improvement of last week, the crowd was better. The crowd was way fucking better this week. Still not as good as New Jersey, but still, a decent crowd tonight. They weren't sitting on the fucking hands last week like they were in Sioux City, Iowa. Especially in Baltimore, Maryland. So I think that brought the best out of it. I think there were some decent crowd moments. I think one guy was doing the Fandango all night. And one guy even took his shirt off doing Vickie job evaluation. That was kind of weird, funny. And there was some cool chants, too, doing some segments. I'll address those in a few moments when I get to those segments. So, and some new matches might make not much. And a lot of decent action tonight. This probably, for when it comes to this being the go-home show before Money in the Bank, I think it was a great go-home show. There's some decent action tonight. Like I said, improvement over last week for sure. We kick things off with Vickie Guerrero, whose career hung by a thread this evening. Of course, you probably saw my title already for this review, but still. Anywho, she began the evening as the managing supervisor of Raw, as she had a bunch of letters out about saying how she made a great Raw tonight, basically to kiss up and save her job this evening with the job evaluation hanging over her head as she climbed the ladder and talked on top of it a bunch of referees waiting to hold her and catch her if she falls, along with Brad Maddox, the then assistant. So, what would be some of her last statements, should I say, as supervisor of Raw, as by the title, as you say already. She made 3 matches involving 6 out of the 7 Money in the Bank participants, minus RVD, since of course he won't be returning till Sunday. Kane against Christian, Randy Orton against CM Punk, which would be our main event this evening. Also announcing there will be a face-off between Mark Henry and John Cena. Finally, the first physical confrontation since Mark Henry slammed Cena when he faked his retirement. And the third Money in the Bank participants match for the Raw one, which would be our first match, Daniel Bryan against Sheamus. And it was a great way to kick off Raw. Great back and forth action. You know, both guys, everybody in the Money in the Bank match, it was in the matches, and I think they fought because they wanted momentum. You know, everybody wants a momentum shift for the Money in the Bank ladder match. And there was so many great moments in this matchup. Very back and forth action with D-Bryan and Kane. I mean, D-Bryan, not D-Bryan, Kane. Sheamus and D-Bryan, both guys went for all the big moves. Of course, Sheamus went for the brogue kick at least once or twice, and Daniel blocked out of it. And of course, Daniel Bryan, I've been saying this for weeks, that Daniel Bryan's been on a roll lately ever since he finally broke up with Kane, finally going back to being a singles wrestler where he belongs, in my opinion. It's brought out in this whole weakest link thing and finally beating Orton, finally proving to himself that he's not the weak link. And then, like I said, it's brought up, like I've said for the last couple weeks on my reviews, maybe sound like a broken record, but I'm keep saying anyway, that D-Bryan has been on a wall, and this whole thing has been bringing out the best in him. You saw it again tonight with some great action and it's probably Sheamus' best match in a while, and I think Sheamus brought out the best of him too, because I think Bryan did bring out somewhat, in my opinion, the best of Sheamus too. Sheamus was on a wall a bit too, with some great offensive, with of course the chops in typical vintage Sheamus, but still Sheamus was looking pretty good in the matchup. So did D-Bryan, and of course the ending I think it was a very good ending of the event. D-Bryan was going for a big move. He was going for the flying headbutt. I think he missed that. Then Sheamus, I think, counted it to, I think he was going for the white noise again. And then Bryan went to the ending came and Daniel Bryan put Sheamus in a no lock, and then Sheamus counted out of that no lock. He counted to his own submission move, the Texas Cloverleaf, and then as Sheamus had it locked in, seemingly thinking he was going to make D-Bryan tap out, the submission specialist Bryan found a way to counter into a small up and a 1-2-3 victory for D-Bryan. Great counter with that wall up out of that Texas Cloverleaf. And I thought Sheamus was going to turn heel after the match because after D-Bryan was celebrating, Sheamus stood face to face with D-Bryan. I thought they were going to have some sort of altercation. Maybe Sheamus will finally have the balls to turn heel like Orton should. But they shook hands. You know, at least it was a good show of sportsmanship, especially since both these guys put on a decent show to begin one, and a very great action-packed first match. Very, very great counters. It was near fall. The last 10 minutes was very good, especially leading up to that ending with the counters and a submission, ending up with D-Bryan winning the battle of the counters with the counter out of the Cloverleaf with the pin in the roll-up and the victory for D-Bryan, giving himself momentum for the Money Bank Ladder match this Sunday. Of course, D-Bryan along with Kane, CM Punk, and Rob Van Dam are all former winners. Orton and Christian and Sheamus have never won it. In the All-Star Money in the Bank. Later on, we did see a segment involving 6 out of the 7. I think it was. Yeah, 6 out of 7 Money in the Bank participants. Minus the Ambrose of the World Heavyweight Championship. They had like a segment later on. With all there was an interview segment with World Scholars with Cesaro and Swagger interrupted. Then Barrett came in, and then Fandango came in with the last word until he got attacked. As was trying to say his name. I think like Wade Barrett pushed him out. He was like, Fandango! Bang! He got hit by, I think it was Barrett, I think, nailed him. I think all of them will, like, they told Fandango don't say it, but he did anyway. So it was a little weird segment, kind of like a little blip of a segment to try to hype up the World Heavyweight Championship Money in the Bank. I call it the mid-carder. I'm going to predict the winner, the man who wasn't even in that segment. I said it on my review last week, in a couple weeks. I said it on my tagline as well today. When it comes to World Heavyweight Championship Money in the Bank, I predict the winner will be Dean Ambrose. And Money in the Bank WWE title, it's either going to be Punk or Bryan, my prediction. So there you go. Now, next segment, AJ and Ziggler. Is Ziggler really a face or is he a trainer? Is he really broken up with AJ yet? Maybe not. But is AJ going to turn face? Maybe not. Because Dolph's apparently turning into a face. See what's up with that. But till then, we got tons of funk. Borders Clay and Tenzai, Sweet Tea, Prince Albert, Hip Hop, what you want to call him, took on the WWE Tag Team Champions, The Shield. Of course, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, his other buddy, Roman Reigns. Of course, both those men will be defending the championships on the pregame show against the Usos, which should be the Divas match. The Divas title match, which was finally made official tonight, AJ versus Caitlyn, the match I predicted for weeks. Even last week I predicted that would be made this week. That match should be the pregame. That's my opinion. Anywho, this tag team match, especially following the Sheamus V-By match, was an okay tag match. Tons of funk, really took advantage from the get-go, especially using their strength to their advantage. Of course, being over 400 pounds each really gave them a little bit of a weight advantage when it comes to squashing the hell out of Rollins and Reigns in the beginning of the matchup. But of course, like all Shield matches before this, the Shield find a way to get the advantage by doing some cheap move, like a poke in the eye or a cheap shot, and gets the other person to tag in. Of course, isolate one man in the corner, and basically get the quick tags in and out, and like I said, keep isolating him and do some double teams in the corner. So indeed, that's what happened to Shield in the later half of the matchup, and indeed, Tons of Funk did try to bounce back, but they only got a spear for their matters. After, of course, numerous attacks outside the ring, the Shield gets the victory after a little spear from Reigns, and I think Rollins probably hit a high knee, somehow in the matchup. Probably had a big high knee off the top on one of the guys. And a 1-2-3 victory for the Shield. So there you go with that. The Shield in a non-title match gets the victory after the spear taking down Tenzai. Now, speaking of titles that will be on the line on Sunday, on with our next promo, which involved John Cena and Mark Henry in a one-on-one face-off. Now, these two have had one-on-one confrontations, but they haven't had any physical altercation. Last week, it was kind of hinted. Following Cena's match against Alberto Del Rio, which ended with, of course, interferences from both Henry and Dolph Ziggler. Well, I thought that would be a tag team match tonight. Ziggler and Cena against Henry and Del Rio, but that match didn't happen. I thought that match would happen tonight. Maybe SmackDown. Anywho, last week the physical competition was teased. Like Cena was going for the bell, like Mark Henry teased to attack him. Like Henry was like, launching it, like ready to pounce on Cena, but Cena would stop dead in his tracks, like Mark Henry was just toying with him. And that almost happened again during this segment. As Cena talk about, I am the big Super Cena, and I'm the champ, and I'm going to beat Mark Henry. And of course, Mark Henry came down, and like Mark Henry made these hungry jokes, like, I'm so hungry. Snickers joke, silly PG jokes of Cena. Indeed, Mark Henry's a decent heel. Indeed, no matter what happens, Cena knows that he's and Mark Henry said it best. He basically put the nail in the head when it comes to Cena and his character. Mark Henry's like, Cena, a lot of these people hate you because you don't cross certain lines because of your goodness. You don't embrace the hate, basically, Cena. You can't turn heel, you pussy. Or better yet, WWE are pussies to make you heel. Because they don't want to lose money. Because you're the big money draw. To be honest with you, I hope Mark Henry wins Sunday. I'd rather have Mark Henry be champion than Ryback. I know Mark Henry's been a former world champion. And I think Mark Henry he's not the best technical wrestler or very finesse. He just beats people up. And he did have a decent reign as world champion 2 years ago. So I think Mark Henry would do well as champion. But of course, knowing typical WWE, they want to save the golden boy. So they're probably going to have Cena win as usual, Super Cena. But Cena has lost the championship Money in the Bank before. CM Punk 2 years ago. In an epic match, mind you. Anyway, so Cena's like, I'm not going to cross the line. How about you cross this line? Cross this line and beat me up. But Henry's like, beat you up? For free? Yeah, what? I'm going to be a Brock Lesnar and make you pay to see me beat you up. So as Mark Henry was going to go to the back and avoid fighting Cena, Mark Henry was like, you know what? I am going to wait. Not. I am going to beat you up now. He took his shirt off. Cena already took his shirt off. And it ended up being almost deja vu from last week as Cena was ready to move and Mark Henry made him flinch until Cena finally moved and so did Mark Henry. Mark Henry and Cena went head-to-head on each other. As Cena was going right for Mark Henry after that flinch attack, Mark Henry nailed him with an elbow as he ran into Mark Henry. Now, after that little elbow, cheap shot, what do they call it, from Mark Henry to Cena, of course, Super Cena came flying back, but he wasn't so super, trying to lift up Mark Henry to give him the FU as he was trying to FU Mark Henry. Like I said, in the past, I never call it the attitude adjustment, I just call it the FU still. So as Cena was trying to FU Mark Henry, his weight came down on him. You can tell me that Cena can FU The Big Show. He can FU Viscera. He can FU Great Khali. And FU Ryback. He can't FU Mark Henry. I know they're like basically purposely made Mark Henry fall on Cena to basically make him, because Mark Henry said, I ain't gonna fight for free. I bet you Cena's like, I'm not gonna FU Mark Henry for free. You gotta pay to see me FU Mark Henry. Yet you've FU'd all those 3 other guys have said on Raw in the past. You've FU'd Vissel on Raw, Big Show on Raw, and Ryback on Raw, and Great Khali. So after Cena's failed FU attempt, Mark Henry came flying back with some power moves before ending it with the world's strongest slam. Standing tall with his foot on top of Cena's chest, and Mark Henry proudly holding the WWE Championship, a championship which Mark Henry hopes to win this Sunday. I hope he does, because like I said, I'm not the biggest Cena fan when it comes to his character. You know, I want Cena to lose, but knowing WWE, that won't happen. So there you go. And speaking of champions, and champions who will be defending their championships at Money in the Bank, on with our next match, which involved the Intercontinental Champion, Curtis Axel, taking on Chris Jericho. Where Curtis Axel finally get a win over Chris Jericho without any cheap shots. Of course, Curtis Axel has a victory over Jericho in the past, but it was before Payback when Jericho got distracted by CM Punk's music and got rolled up by Curtis Axel with a cheap victory. Will Axel get the victory this time? Or will he get distracted this time? As of course, The Miz was at ringside. The man that Mr. Axel will be defending the championship against on Sunday. So indeed, this match was pretty decent, pretty good matchup. Paul Heyman was wearing these shades because he got punched in the face by Alberto Del Rio last week, despite the fact that Heyman's disassociated himself with CM Punk somewhat. But Punk came to his rescue last week on SmackDown. I didn't see SmackDown, but still, that's what I've heard from Michael Cole and all them. And Paul Heyman. Anyway, the match started off with, of course, Jericho coming in with the House of Fire. But I think Axel came in with some decent moves. I think Axel / Michael McGillicuddy, what may you. I think he's gotten better. He did do a promo after Paul Heyman. I think Axel needs a little work on his promos, but I think he was a decent speaker when it came to his promo about being the IC champion, and no one will stop him. Not even Miz or Jericho, for that matter. So, but then Axel came back with some decent moves, with some big moves, including the perfect flex at one point. But then Jericho came flying back with some big moves of his own, nailing all of his big moves, including the Lion Salt, and going for a Codebreaker at least once or twice. But, of course, Axel countered out of that Codebreaker attempt. And, of course, Axel basically was wearing down Jericho with some chin locks and some moves in the corner, some chops, and like I said, even nailing the perfect plex with Jericho kicked out at 2, which was kind of an amazing fact. But the boiling point of the match that made the match the ending the way it happened was Jericho and Axel went out to the outside at one point in the matchup, and they were fighting each other. And I said in the beginning that Miz was commentating. At that moment, when Axel was outside the ringside, duking out with Jericho outside, I was like, Axel hasn't been this effective with Miz thus far. Axel hadn't made any eye contact with Miz yet. He's focused on his opponent, Chris Jericho. Just as I said that, Axel's focus went to his opponent at Money in the Bank, Miz, commentating at ringside. As Axel was trying to get at Miz, the referee was counting out. Oh my God, Miz is going to make Axel get counted out. Make Axel lose. Axel did beat the count, but Miz did eventually make him lose. With that distraction by the Miz outside the ring, basically Axel walked into a Codebreaker from Jericho and a 1-2-3 victory for Jericho. So much for Jericho making wrestlers go over. That's been Jericho's goal. I applaud Jericho for coming back. Jericho's not back for another title run. He's just back to help the young talent, push the young talent, make them go over. He's lost everybody, but he beat Curtis Axel tonight. I think Jericho needs to win every once in a while. Distractions or not, Jericho needs to at least prove to himself that he can still beat the young guys as well as make them go over. So there you go, Chris Jericho with a little help from the Miz, getting into Axel's mind, getting ready for their match this Sunday, gets the victory over the Intercontinental Champion. I don't think he'll get a title reign. Jericho he held the IC Championship most time. I think he's been like a 9-time IC Champion. So there you go, Jericho win. Speaking of champions, with our next match, which involved the World Heavyweight Champion, Alberto Del Rio, once again without Ricardo Rodriguez from a storyline injury, or as WWE says, I didn't mention this on any of my taglines last week that Alberto Del Rio ring announcer Ricardo got suspended for 30 days, back to drug use or something. I didn't read the whole details, but I know Ricardo suspended. That's why he's been storyline injured. So Alberto Del Rio took on another Mexican wrestler, Mexican luchador who's had a rough time in WWE in the last 2 years. And I believe he should be more pushed, in my opinion. Now he's finally learned from the botches. Of course, I'm going to botch Cara. Sin Cara. Once again with the silly, I thought it was me. Yeah, no silly lighting, but the silly blue and yellow lighting on the ring came. And actually, Sin Cara looked very good in this matchup. There was no botches. There was some great, fast-paced Mexican Lucha Libre moves. Sin Cara looked very good in the matchup. I think a few weeks ago when Cara was on Raw again, I forgot who he wrestled. I think he wrestled Cesaro, I think. If I'm not mistaken. And Sin Cara looked very good in that match too. And it's so bad that Sin Cara had a bad rap because of, trying to adapt to the North American wrestling style and botching a lot. I think he really, finally came into his own. And I wish WWE, Sin Cara had a great opportunity to be tarnished as the next big Mexican hero like Rey Mysterio. But he kept getting injured and botching a lot, so it kind of diminished his reign. But I think Sin Cara should have been built more, especially he's gotten a lot better. But Sin Cara looked very good against the world champion. Of course, Alberto came flying back, hammering with some big kicks, and of course, focusing on the elbow, on the arm, trying to nail the cross-arm breaker. But as Alberto was weakening down Sin Cara for the eventual tap out, here comes Alberto's opponent for this Sunday, Dolph Ziggler. In the middle of the match, Dolph Ziggler came out saying, I'm going to introduce you, Alberto, because you have no ring announcer. So during the match, as the match was still going on between Sin Cara and Del Rio, Dolph Ziggler did some introduction saying, I am the man who will beat Del Rio, the man who's a loser. And he was trying to imitate Ricardo was doing the El Poto Del Rio as he was trying to do the Del Rio. Alberto turned his focus from his opponent in the ring and turned his focus to his opponent in Money in the Bank as he attacked Dolph Ziggler outside the ring and led towards a brawl outside the ring with Dolph and Alberto hammering each other outside the ring. Until in the end, Sin Cara came off the top and nailed Alberto off the top with a big splash off the top. The match ended up being a no contest thanks to that distraction from Mr. Dolph Ziggler. So there you go. No contest as Dolph Ziggler gets in the head of Del Rio, leading towards their match on Sunday, and I hope Del Rio loses. I hope Ziggler finally retains the championship and finally has the reign he should have as champion. Instead of winning the belt, then getting injured and getting squashed by Del Rio at Payback. That's not the way the title should have. I've said it before. Del Rio won at Payback. I said it once, I say it again. Dolph Ziggler got screwed, and I hope they reward Dolph for his resistance and his reluctance to do that spot with Del Rio winning by winning back the championship Sunday. Now on to our next segment, which was the job evaluation of Vickie Guerrero. Now, like I mentioned in my attack line, I predicted that the power struggle between McMahon, specifically Triple H and Vince, will come to a head tonight. And boy, oh boy, was I right. As Triple H and Vince were both arguing for Vickie to be fired, and then Vickie to be, Vince was like, yeah, Vickie's entertaining, man. She's a great job. Basically Vince was the heel in this case, and Triple H was the face. Triple H and Vince been at each other's throats, trying to gain control, and trying to, pull the reins of the company. And then Triple H, like I said, was playing the face in this case, saying, yeah, Vickie's entertaining unintentionally. She's doing a shitty job. They brought up a lot of factors, but bringing back Brock Lesnar, and some decision-making being skeptical, blah, 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 blah. Even Vince said all the way down saying that he thinks that Vickie should be promoted from not just a supervisor, but permanent general manager of ours. Vince and Triple H was getting each other's throats about trying to over one the other. As they were arguing yet again, Vince and Triple H said, hey, instead of us making a decision, because one of us is going to disagree with the other anyway, about Vicky being a puppet and all that, with Triple H and stuff, that Stephanie should be making a decision. I think Triple H was making he called it a whooped shoot, saying that, I don't care what I think you don't care what I say because you're the chairman, Vince. You're going to make the decision anyway. But then they're like, let's have Stephanie make it. So Stephanie's like, instead of me making it, how about the WWE Universe make it? When the segment happened, when they were doing the ladder thing, when Vicky was making the matches, they said the WWE Universe will be the ones to vote on whether or not they think Vicky did a good job or not. And the fans would decide. And I was like, oh boy. It's going to be fail. I was like, they're going to probably fucking wick it and say it's pass. To save our ass. But it was a fail. And I had a chance of no early on. But indeed, yes. Storyline or not, Vicky Guerrero got fired as managing supervisor of Raw. Stephanie did the firing segments. Like, her you're fired wasn't as good as Vince's. You're fired. No one can do it. No one can do you're fired better than Vince. But Stephanie did a good job of trying to replicate it, but not trying to emulate too much of Vince's way of saying it. But anyway, as and then Vicky just had a fucking meltdown. She was like, ah! She cried all over the place, and she was even hugged backstage by Wyatt. That seems strange. That Wyatt hugged her. So as Vicky was having a meltdown, mascara was running down. It's like, ah! And then one of the things they were making fun of her voice. Boy, her voice is screechy. And, like, I hate Vicky Guerrero as much as anybody else does, but I think having a heel GM brings the best out of Raw. No matter how much we hate John Laurinaitis, having a heel GM was a good thing. Maybe you love to hate him. That's the thing about John Laurinaitis. You may hate him as a character. That's the thing. You gotta love to hate him. You got a reaction. Same with Vicky. And now we named the new GM of Raw. What a jump. He went from sketchy referee to failed wrestler to assistant to GM. That's right. Brad Maddox is the new GM of Raw. Unless they hire back Vicky. So Brad Maddox didn't make any rulings tonight. So probably next week will be his first full week. Unless they bring back Vicky in some way, shape, or form. Because Vince said in the back he'll make it right. So we'll see if Vince does make it right and bring Vicky back into the fold. But till then, Vicky's fired. Brad's the new GM. We'll see how Brad does. If Brad does stay on more than a week as GM without getting kicked out by Vicky. Now, on our next matchup, which brought the debut we've all been waiting for. It was during the match, or should I say after the match, between Kane and Christian. Of course, two of the men fighting in the Money Bank ladder match in the All-Stars. Now, of course, Kane came in with his strength and power, and Christian with his quickness. And the Christian came in with a house of fire, coming in with adrenaline, pumping, trying to, of course, everybody in these matches involving the Mighty Bank competitors wants to get the victory, to give themselves momentum towards the match and give themselves confidence heading towards the Mighty Bank match. Christian came in, of course, like I said, he came in with the advantage in the beginning with some great offense. Then he kind of came back with some offense of his own. Coming back with some big moves. But then Christian came back trying to go for a spear near towards the end. Until being caught in a chokeslam and a victory from Kane. But as Kane was standing in victory, here come the Wyatt family. Now, throughout the evening, we saw a vignette of a WWE reporter trying to find their compound. And like every other vignette, it was another creepy promo of this whole leading the pack thing. And as Kane, like I said, was celebrating, the lights went out. And another video came in of the Wyatt family, like Bray Wyatt, who I finally, it didn't hit me in the head until tonight. A crowd chant made me realize, wow, Bray Wyatt is Husky Harris. It didn't hit me. And I'm a guy who remembers people. It didn't hit me until the fans chanted doing it, Husky Harris. By the way, before I get to that Wyatt family to mention, I forgot to mention a botch doing that. Before I get to the debut of the Wyatt family, when Christian came out, the screen was wrong. They instead on the Titan Tron they aired Michael McGillicuddy's graphic for like 10 seconds. Then go back to Christian's. That was kind of funny to see them botching it on the graphic going. Having Michael McGillicuddy's graphic instead of Christian's. That was kind of funny. That was kind of weird. Anyway, on to the debut of the Wyatt. There, after Kane won, of course, there was a video of the Wyatt family on screen, walking in his chair, saying indeed that there's been a war going on. I know these wars. The war in the head, like all these. That I'm a leader. All these sheep. And of course, he came in with the two other members with this lantern. He lit up a lantern and it says, they're here. And indeed, they finally came as he blew the lantern. Here comes the music, which I think is a great theme. Like, a great entrance music makes the best out of a character. Like, the best entrance music is the one that sets the mood for the character. And boy, I like the Wyatt's music. And of course, all three of them came out. Big ovation from the fans who were smart enough to chant them. And here they come. I like the entrance. Like, it was all pitch black. All three members came out with the lantern on. It was kind of a creepy entrance. That was kind of a great way to do that. And then Bray, aka Husky, blew out the lantern. And the lights came back on. And two other members with the sheep mask on came in the ring. Double teamed on Kane. The mask came off on the lamb guy. And they were basically double teaming Kane in the ring. Basically clawing at him. Kane did try to fight back. But like the Shield did the Kane before them, the numbers got the best of Kane. And indeed it was 2-on-1. They dragged Kane out to the outside area with Bray watching from the rocking chair. Watching the two members of the family dominating over Kane, which ended with them nailing Kane with the steel steps, putting his head on the bottom of the steps, and nailing him with the bottom, smashing the top and bottom together with Kane's head in the middle. That was a vicious shot. Then Bray came to the ring, took his hat off, and did a little pose and stuff. And that was a great impact to debut. It was kind of, I like the entrance, creepy entrance, set the mood. And of course, the attack on Kane, a big veteran. They take him out, and then I heard him, like I said, they chanted Husky Harris, and I was like. Then it hit me. I was like, "Oh my God, that is Husky Harris!" And I didn't think it hit me before. You know what I mean? All these Nexus guys got rebranded. Skip Sheffield, Wyatt went on to be successful as a #1 contender for the title many times. Wade Barrett, the later former IC champion. Of course, Husky Harris and Michael McGillicuddy both came later, and more importantly, both their pushes came later. Of course. Curtis Axel, Michael McGillicuddy, now the IC champion, and now Husky, aka Bray. I couldn't tell it was Husky Harris because he has longer hair now, but he is Husky Harris with more facial hair. So there you go. The Wyatt family make a big impact in the long-awaited debut. Now on with the obligatory Divas match of the night, a Divas tag involving Caitlyn teaming up with Layla against AJ and Alicia Fox. Of course, Caitlyn's been fueled with emotion, trying to get back at AJ. And as I said in the early beginning of the video, as I fully predicted last week, AJ will get a rematch. Will have to defend the title again against Caitlyn, getting a rematch. And Caitlyn wanted a piece of AJ early. It was a typical Divas match. It was a slow-going match. Alicia and Layla kicked it off. They basically fought the majority of the match. And then AJ got the tag in. And tagging Layla, she was gonna feed on Layla. Caitlyn, she couldn't contain herself and let her emotions get the best out of her. She jumped out of the corner and went straight for AJ in pure catfight mode. The match basically was called off after Caitlyn and AJ was brawling outside the ring, which ended with AJ getting speared by Caitlyn outside the ring as Alicia and Layla was trying to break up Caitlyn and AJ, but it was no good. As like I said, Caitlyn had the last word by spearing the hell out of AJ outside the ring before being carried out by Biggie Langston. So Caitlyn, feud on emotion, feud on revenge. Way to take back the Divas Championship maybe against AJ, but I expect Biggie to get more involved than he did in the match at Payback. I thought Biggie would get more involved in the match, but I think Biggie will be a big factor in distracting Caitlyn and making Caitlyn lose again, especially with all these pranks that AJ, basically AJ and all these pranks making fun of Caitlyn or weight and the joke she's pulled that's gotten the best of Caitlyn. Caitlyn's emotions make it the best of her Sunday. You know, I bet you Caitlyn may get either cheated out by getting screwed by Biggie or basically, you know, letting emotions get the best out of her and maybe nailing AJ with a steel chair or something. Which would never happen in Divas Land. By the way, Bella Twins were commentating during the match, which was, like I said, no contest. Now on with the main event, which involved the last two participants in the Money in the Bank ladder match of Wall. The fight tonight, Randy Orton against CM Punk. Now, one thing I forgot to mention during the Sheamus D-Buy match was there was like a split, you know, with these two big faces. Like there was like people saying, "Let's go Sheamus, Daniel Bryan." Same thing in this match. It was like split 50-50 with the, you know, the "Let's go Randy CM Punk" chants going on. And this match being the main event was pretty good, despite being an Orton match. I think Punk, doesn't matter who wrestles Punk, Punk makes anybody look good. Even a boring 5-move wrestler like Randy Orton. Orton reminds me of Cena. Both guys had great ability and then dumbed down and went with 5 simple moves and didn't go straight from it. And then we saw all the 5 moves, Orton's 5 moves of doom with the Hangman DDT. And of course, numerous attempts at an RKO. This match was pretty good as well. Like the first match was pretty good with D-Buy and Sheamus. And this match was pretty good too. Another big action-packed match. This match was surprisingly good for being, like I said, a Randy Orton match. But, yeah, it was very back and forth. You know, Punk came in with you know, aggression following, you know, the whole Heyman distraction. Like, with Punk finally getting rid of his Heyman distractions, especially, you know, with having to force a team with Curtis Axel last week. Axel stealing the win after Punk did all the dirty work, with Axel planting himself in for the pin, fitting off Punk's move, GTS on Darren Young. So, with all that distraction out, Punk focused on Orton and focused on winning Money in the Bank this Sunday. We went to a commercial break at once with Punk going on a suicide dive on Orton, you know, damaging Orton a little bit. And of course, that's when Orton came, after that, Orton came flying back with some big moves, out, like nailing Punk on the barricades too. As indeed, it was, like I said, very back and forth, some decent spots. With, of course, elbow from the top rope following the bulldog, the big knee, followed by the elbow drop. And then, of course, Orton was going for the GTS chance. And unfortunately, Punk took too much time to set up the GTS as Orton countered it and turned it into a Hangman DDT off the middle rope. And, of course, what comes after the DDT? RKO. As Orton was going for the RKO, Punk countered it, going for a big ping. But then Orton attempted the power slam once, but he then finally got to connect the power slam for a 2 count. But as Orton came flying in, they're going, like, the ending of the match was pretty decent as well. Like, Orton and CM Punk were both trading each other off and trying to nail the finishers. Orton was going for the RKO, then Punk was going for the GTS. But as Orton was trying to nail Punk once again with his 3rd or 4th RKO attempt, Punk nailed him with an insecure kick to the head, knocking him helpless as Punk lifted his lifeless body to nail the GTS in the victory. 1, 2, 3. Punk gets the victory over Randy Orton, but Punk wouldn't be the last one standing to end Raw. As Punk was celebrating his victory over Orton, here comes Daniel Bryan, coming in to attack both Orton and Punk, nailing them both with some big moves. Like, he basically pushed Punk out of the ring, leaving Orton in the ring as Punk was laying on the ground. Daniel Bryan came underneath the ring, grabbed a ladder, then nailed Randy Orton with it, then set up the ladder, and it could be an image that I hope does happen Sunday. D-Bryan climbing the ladder, and getting the Money in the Bank briefcase, chanting, yes, yes, yes. Of course, D-Boy is a single winner of the Money in the Bank before 2 years ago. When in my mind, D-Boy, when he won Money in the Bank, he wasn't ready. But with a few months of holding onto the case, made him more ready. So I hope, like I said, numerous weeks, D-Boy's on the wall, and he's my prediction to win it besides Punk. To win Money in the Bank Sunday, I hope D-Boy does win. Because there have been rumors about D-Boy wrestling Cena at SummerSlam, so I hope D-Boy does win, but I think plans may change, but still, I hope D-Boy does win. Because, like I said, he's been on the wall, and I think this whole breakup with Kane has brought the best in him, and I hope it pays off with Brian winning. So, decent Raw tonight, way better than last week. Crowd was better, so there you go. That is it for my Raw review for this evening. See you all later. With that in mind, you've all been attacked by the review from Zach. Thank you all very much for watching. Have a good night. Yeah.